Hello and welcome to episode 14 of Solo Factory. I am Graham Banks of the Should I Play This Game podcast. At the end of episode 13, I sort of left it with I was planning to do a bunch of little sort of tidy up jobs. One of them is, you can sort of see the outcome of it here, or sort of. This had a whole bunch of just platforms floating in the air, and had a belt run of batteries coming out of there, along there, and all sorts of stuff. I might actually try and find an old shot from roughly here, from an old save, and I might try and superimpose it. You can sort of see what it looks like from here. Anyway, the sort of final finishing product of all that work is this. This is now a rejigged uranium and sulphur drone port. Is now all in there, so you can just see them through the windows there. So we've got back actually through the waterfall at the back there, is the uranium comes out of that. Sulphur's to the left. They come into three drone ports, and they get all three are off to the Euclid generator setup. What we've also got now in here is got an extra drone port sitting there. So now we've got 7 drone ports here, had 6 before. And that is taking the batteries to that drone port, so that the other 3 drone ports can take off. As a part of redoing all this, I've actually given each of these drone ports like a gate number. So that's gate 4, gate 1, 2, 3, 4 along there, and then 5, 6, 7 along here. I've now got a name for this airport, so that's the battery distribution hub. You can see I've actually got each location of where each gate takes batteries to. And I've actually gone and renamed most of the other factories, airports as well, sort of drone areas as well. So I'll come to that in a moment. But this is something I've just started doing. So I've now got a bit of an arrivals and departures board for each airport area. This is so I've got 7 drone ports. Just done a bit of a calculation. So I'm making 240 batteries underneath in the bottom of this factory, in the tower of this factory. I'm bringing out 270 out of this set of containers. As you may, I think I may have mentioned this before, but each of these drone ports takes batteries to its destination and obviously flies back. What I've set up at each of those drone ports where the batteries are then taken off, all this is all batteries, is that the batteries get taken there, and they get conveyor belted out of each factory, out of each drone port. They then go into a smart sphere that ultimately then sends any overflow back into the drone port. So in essence, you end up having batteries coming back as well. So in this particular case here, this is gate 7. Gate 7 goes off to the Desert Municipal Airport. We'll go to that in a second. And you can see 40 go out on a regular, but 11 come back. So that essentially means that we're using 39 batteries at that other location. Likewise along to this next one. That minus that, this one's 9 in total being used by that other drone port. This one 6. This one here is using basically all the going out. That's actually going to the main factory for the generator, the magnetic field generator, so they're not coming back. 31, 11 excess coming back, so 11 being used. This one, 25 are being used by that other drone port, and this last one is roughly 9. If you add all that up, it's about 125, give or take, these drones are actually consuming at their target destination. That means a lot are coming back from the drone ports, which is actually why this is starting to fill up. Because if you look at that's a Mark III build, which takes out 270 a minute. If I'm only making 240 a minute, there should be a negative 30 in terms of what's going through here. However, because of what's coming back, we're actually having nearly 360 a minute come into this set of containers. And as a result of that, 270 going out, there is a little split here that goes to the other factory we were just on top of a second ago. So we've actually got more coming into this battery setup than what's actually made underneath it. So that's all sort of balances out. So this is all really working really well. I like the way this is set up. We've got all the gaps in the ceiling, got space for one more drone port here if we want to put one in place. If we need to go to 9th or 10th one, I might have to go out more at the front of the building, not too sure. But at the moment we won't need it. Shuffle things around a bit, move that around a bit, but that's fine. So actually we can look at this one. So this one's actually carrying 17 coming back, so it's going to 140, 58, 59, maybe get to 162 or 3. It'll drop in. What it then does is these batteries come out of here, then go through a series of conveyor belts underneath that actually feed into this part here. So this one on the second, this 72 in the bottom left hand corner here, which is another batteries that are needed for the actual machine to take off, that will go up. As this starts to empty, this will now go up. If there's any overflow required for that, that will then obviously fill up to 200, and that'll then come along to this one and start to fill this one up, and along the way it goes. So you've got 200 in that one, 200 in that one, and most of these are now going to be primarily pretty full. 200, 200, and 200. So any of these excess batteries that come into these drone ports basically get used to fill up its own path to actually take off again. So you can see it takes 8 per trip. So this one's coming back with, this one's coming back 44, 20, whatever that is. That's about 19 or so. This one's actually 14 coming back and using 10 a trip. Yeah, so that should be fine. Anyway, so that's what that setup's all doing. So as I said, I've sort of gone along and named the drone port areas. So this is the Desert Regional Airport. We've actually got arrivals and departures in this one. So we've got arrivals of those 2 batteries coming in, one above me right here. Each one's got a gate. So this is gate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we can see we've actually got that this is coming in from the distribution hub into gate 2. And because of the nature of this particular drone port, I've got a little indicator here of which other gate it takes its batteries to, because that was the other thing I was getting very confused was where each of the incoming drone batteries and stuff were going to. So that's what that section at the bottom is about. These signs, that's just the vanilla sign that's built into the game. These are using a mod called Real Simple Signs. And you've got a whole bunch of options. You can actually have them actually hanging from the drone ports themselves. So this one gives you drone port. You can also have them hanging out from the wall like that, or just on the wall. They've got various sizes as well. So that's what these are. The good thing about them is it's a really good mod. It's got templates, so I've actually got templates that I've designed. I just copy them in and then edit them as you need to. And each one's sort of a bit. So you've got items, text edit or an effect, and you can actually edit what's in there. So item is that, airport's that, the gate is that, arrow 1 and 2, and then the gate list. So that's all just the various elements of that sign. Over here you can see we've got the gate 1 is going to the computer main factory. I've now just given that a name, so I've now just come up with the name of that, but I'll have to think about how I'm going to display that in here. So gate 1 goes to there, gate 3 is there, gate 4, gate 5, and tells you where that is actually going, what item is going and where it's going, which is just quick easy reference for when I'm just coming in and going, okay, what does gate 5, where does it go and what does it take? And I've tried to make that fairly consistent across everything else. So if we go back to the main factory now, and we go over here and we do a hard 180, we've got that up on the board. So I've now got each of the airports. So this one, even though I don't have one where all the drone ports are sort of connected to each other, I've basically called it that each area of this main factory is essentially a north, south, east, west terminal. So that set of buildings over there, that's actually the west part of this area. So that's the west terminal, north terminal, and the south terminal. As a result of that, we've got 8 drone ports total in here. North port has got a couple of terminals or gates. South has just got the 1, and then we've got 5 in the west. But the only thing different here is we now say where it's coming from, Swamp Municipal, into which terminal and gate number, and then ultimately what that is actually used to make. So that's using seat sinks, modular frames, stator, blah blah blah, etc. as you go along. So that's what I've now done. I have renamed some of the drone ports as well. So for example, that's main factory north terminal gate 1. So you can actually, if you go into one of these, let's go find one of these. So now this, I'm starting. I haven't done it across all the drone ports yet. I haven't done any in the nuclear generator area yet. So sort of only just done this as a. It wasn't even what I planned to do. Just I needed to. I just went to that desert drone port area at one point. Just lost track of what it was doing and why it was doing it. So anyway. So if we come to here, we go, this port is named that one. It's connecting to the Desert Regional Gate 3, so that's the relevant port to this one. This doesn't have any outgoing stuff, which is why it's nothing listed up here. If we go to all ports, you can see we've got Swamp Municipal, Gate 1, Gate 1, Gate 5. As I said, I haven't got all of the ports named yet, but I'm starting to get into the name of them. We'll be able to, so plus 34 other ports. So yeah, so that's what you can sort of see, that we've got Desert Regional Gate 1 through 9, Swamp Municipal. Oh, I can't show more of them. Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's sort of what I'm doing. It's just naming them a bit more cleanly. I did have them in and out and stuff, but that just wasn't really working. So now I've just gone to the sort of a logical thing of just saying these are airports and these are gates within that airport. So okay, so what else have I done? Not much else, to be honest. I have done a little bit of preparation at the nuclear generator setup. Let's quickly show you that. So I had an issue whereby all of these ports, so this brings in sulphur, which goes into here. So that's actually coming from the swamp. I'm not sure why it's got gate 4 there, swamp. That's interesting. So the swamp waterfall is that first new drone port I showed you. Which I will go and look at in a moment to show what that's inside. Yeah, so these was bringing in the steel beams, encased industrial beams and iron plates. What was happening was that these were filling up. These sets of these drone ports, containers are put in place. Therefore, these were filling up, and then nothing was moving. So now I've put in a awesome sink. So now these are actually empty. This is all just for preparation still to redoing this setup. So we've now got an absolute bucket load of stuff in here. We've got 9, so we've got those two plus these two. So nearly 37,000 ply and plates. I've got 9,500, just over 9,000 encased industrial beams. I've got 19,000 beams here, plus what's stored in those 3 containers. That one, that one, and that one. I've got concrete stored in here and here. We've got our silica stored in there. And what we do have here is a series of containers which aren't actually used at the moment, which is going to have, I'm going to put a lot of concrete into that, because that's also going to feed into that run down there. Because while I'm redoing this whole setup, I need this factory still to run, obviously. So yeah, I've basically got to dismantle all of this in front of us, essentially. Turn it sideways, or turn it 90 degrees, so it's coming, you know, the lines of constructors are going essentially left to right as we're looking at it. That all goes, because that's all been made elsewhere now. And then we're going to bring the stuff into here and, you know, do this middle trench run kind of, or middle corridor run down the middle here. I have got a bit of an issue because I managed to somehow get some uranium into this sulphur drone port, which led to, not surprisingly, led to these machines stopping, which then led to all these machines stopping because they ran out of sulfuric acid. So again, I've got a bunch of, I've got the manual waste setup, waste management processes kicking in because I had to transfer a lot of. Oh, I've run out of silica again. Okay, I have to go get some more. I ran out of. I've got Oop, didn't want to do that. I got down. That was almost. I had almost 24,000 when after the last screw up. So I need to go and get some silica from over here just to feed these machines. Remember, we are actually making 281 using 240. So I'm going to be able to grab a whole bunch of that, and that will fill up over time. So that's not a problem. What else have I done? Yeah, as I said, I'll go and look at that. So yeah, I've gone through and primarily named a lot of the airport areas. So we'll just take that back in there. That'll mean that will kick off and run again. Yeah, we'll start getting that out unless we'll start going through this again. Alright, cool. So the plan is that I'm actually eventually going to move all of the drone ports that are used coming into this area. So we're going to have the 4 we've got over here. So sulphur, iron plates, encased industrial beams, steel beams, that will be all the way around. We're then going to bring in, there's going to be 2 more down at this end. There's going to be 2 more, one for uranium, raw uranium, one for heat sinks, and one for the electromagnetic control rods. And they'll all come into here. Now it's going to become a bit of a nightmare, I think, for getting those various outputs of those into this middle run, which I've also then got to build. So that's actually the first part of this, is building this setup in here. There's a whole bunch of belt runs going straight through the middle, straight down here, and hopefully won't sort of get in the way of each other, but they probably will. I haven't really thought that one through that much, if I'm honest. It's just a concept in my head at the moment. And then as you can sort of see here, they'll just break right as they need to, or in some cases they might go all the way down the far end and then come down into the logistics level below us, primarily for those uranium ports at the end there. So you can see that's the whole plan with this setup, is to have them run through to here and just break right or keep going as they need to feed into the main area, main factory setup. Alright, let's go have a quick look at the airport at the swamp, which is now called the Swamp Waterfall. So if I turn around, you can see we've got, this is where all the batteries come in. So you can see we've got incoming batteries. It goes out and it feeds into these 3. Any excess come back in. There we go. So when it arrives back next, it'll take 33 back with it. Uranium, first one, second one uranium, and then the last one is sulphur. So there's the uranium comes out through there. So actually there's a uranium node in this rock sort of mountain thing. And again, we've got more arrivals. Swamp Waterfall, the arrivals of the batteries into gate 1. I should actually put under that my list of destination. It's fairly obvious, but what do we do? We'll actually use that one, and we'll go, this is where we change it. So the item is that, and we choose batteries, and we save and exit. Just let this auto kick in. It's really, it's a really neat mod. It's very neat, very neat mod with all the tools you can edit, and you can make it all opacity, and you can change the colours and stuff like that. And I've gone for a fairly straightforward look to it. So we'll go and change our item. We have the airport will be the battery distribution hub is where it's come from. It is just gate 1. There's only one gate. There's only one thing. And then the usage will be, we'll go gate 2, pipe character, gate 3, and gate 4. And we'll go save and exit, and we're done. So that tells us where those go. You can see this is gate 2 and gate 3 going to the nuclear generators, and gate 4 is going to nuclear generators. So that's actually what it's just going to be. That's what that setup I talked about, those 7 or 8 drain ports at the nuclear generator, is going to be the nuclear generator port. So it'll go into that. Okay. So that's that. I like the fact the nice effect of the leaving the windows in the back wall, so you can actually see the waterfall and the reflection of the drain ports. Looks really neat. At night this looks really cool. Let's go and turn the time to 11 PM. So you can see it looks pretty neat there. And if we actually go outside, I didn't realise that looks really cool, how that's all lit up like that in the night sky. That's a really cool effect. And these things glow, which is a really bit disturbing. Anyway, and that's how it looks from the front. And I've got my 5 pillars to hold it up, so it looks like it's vaguely got some structural integrity to it, and not just floating in the air like you could do if I wanted to. There we go. So let's go. And that's the path in which the sulphur comes. The sulphur miner is just. I can't go any faster with this walk in the moment. Let's go. There we go. So the sulphur miner is just in that little box there. Comes out, down, around, and then goes through that way. So that's what all this is about. So all I've got left from here is an absolute bucket load of concrete that I had a limestone miner. A limestone deposit is, well, you can just see it right there where the reticle is. That was basically, I think, was feeding that. There's a whole bunch of constructors there. So that's all that's left from that setup. There was all the drain ports for the original setup was like over here somewhere, so that's all gone. And yeah, so all that's left now from this, you can see, is there was a train station here, which I've removed it. The train track or the train platform was along here and through there. I'm going to basically dismantle it just to basically there. I may bring it back, I may not, but at least I've got it there. I don't need to rebuild it if I need to. So what I'm going to do with... Oh, we'll pick up this slug. Slugs get converted, by the way, into these things. And these things are the power shard layer to put into machines to overclock them. So I've actually got a bit of a cheat that allows me to build them as I need to. Ooh. Just clean this stuff up. Grab them. Not that we need this stuff, but it's nice to have it cleaned up. Ooh. Not too sure why they're all floating in the air. Oh, what does it need? 67 megawatts and 2 turbo motors. Oh, we could probably do that relatively quickly. Didn't realise that wasn't done. Alright. From these drop pods you actually get things out of them. Sometimes you get things you've already got, but sometimes they do in fact have items that aren't something you can make. But we'll come back to that in a moment. So actually we could probably get the power to it pretty easily, because there should be, whereabouts is there? So there should be some power lines going through just over here. Here we go. So we'll change to that. We'll drag this over here. And then we'll drag that. Where was that thing? There. So we're going to drag it to there. Drag it to there, and then we just tick to that. So that's now got power. Just need to get turbo motors. So let me go and grab turbo motors. I'm just going to stay off the ground here. So what we'll do is we'll just go into this. Just go a bit of a tangent here. Didn't realise I hadn't actually done this one. So we'll just go into here, because in here we've got a teleporter. With the teleporter we can get back to the home. And we can go and pick up some turbo motors, which should be just there. And then we'll go back to swamp. And we'll then go and just wait for the textures to pop in, like so. the game was clearly not designed to have a teleporter do what it just did, where it just changes really quickly. I thought it would load it in properly. There we go. And if we go over here, so out of these things you get these, so double click and then we can double click, oh, let's do this now, open the drop pod. Now that you get these hard drives, and from the hard drives you go and put them in, so now we can get rid of that, don't need that anymore. Likewise that can go, that can go, and I think that was all I had, wasn't it? Oh, get rid of that one too. Right, so basically from that, we now go back to the main, my main setup. Oops, wrong side. And go back to home, because there is what's known as the MAM, which is actually this thing here. It's the molecular analysis machine, and if we go hard drive, we go scan hard drive, and now 10 minutes later it will come up with alternative recipes is the main thing you get out of it. Sometimes you just get up straight materials, for example, not that box, but this one. You can see we've got this superposition oscillator. You can't make that, but I got that out of one of those, and that one there is another one, quantum computer. So yeah, and they've actually been, they're actually, in some things they're used, you can actually use them in some materials, but anyway. So that's going to be the first bit. So I think I'm just about ready. So what we need to do, let's go back to the nuclear generator setup, because that's getting very close to being ready to do. I need that to fill back up again, because I need that as full as possible. What I'm going to do for here is each one of these can hold 24,000 sand. Oh, sorry, not sand, concrete. It's going to feed into the setup down there, which is actually, do I need that? Where's that? The concrete is going, yes I do need it. It's used in, the concrete goes into the section underneath us, which is making the, let's just go under there, make sure I get the, so go under here, this goes back underneath. Ooh, ooh, and ooh. Where is it? So the concrete is, yeah, feeds these sets of machines. So yeah, so it feeds those set of machines. I actually think I may have a problem here. Is any of these overloaded with sulfuric acid? No, they're all good. Okay, they're good. Running 100%. Cool. Okay. Yeah, so we need all the concrete to funnel into these guys, which is why there's three. One coming down there for this one there and one there. So that's what all those storages contain. So if we actually look at that, they use 28.8 each. 28.8 times 15 is 432. So every minute, these machines are using 432 concrete per minute. I can have 24,000 times 3 to 72, 432. So yeah, we're going to have nearly 3 hours worth of concrete if I fill up those 3 containers. So yeah, that should be okay. Alright, so that's basically it really. So yeah, I think I'm going to let that silica fill back up again. I don't have that being made anywhere else. Let's go back up top through this arrangement. Get spread out there. So the first part of this whole rebuild is going to be to probably move the drone ports down, start building the conveyor belt runs through here. So ultimately, the heatsink, the beam sink in here, they aren't needed beyond that point because they were going down to the encased industrial beam setup, so we don't need them anymore because they've been made separately. The concrete is also the concrete run here is also used for the encased industrial beams, which are all being made by these assemblers here. So that's all now being made elsewhere. So that all basically can stop, which means I can get rid of that run here and get rid of all that. So I think I need to build first is figure out what conveyor belt runs I need coming down through the central point, because I need to have electromagnetic control rods going all the way through, so we might put them maybe down this sort of below me, so they're more on that side. Sort of maybe even so the thing's going to be is I'm going to clash into some of the stuff I've already got in here, so it's going to be ugly, I think, to get it first sort of set up. So the first thing I need to do is I think I might even move some of this stuff around. Anyway, I haven't got a lot of flexibility underneath either, because mind you, I'll have a bit more, because if I get under here, so that's the beam, that's the iron plates. It's also iron plates. That'll be gone. This will be gone. I actually may have a lot more space than I thought. That's where the awesome sink stuff is. That's what I can't avoid. I can't move that. But I can run parallel to it, I suspect, for a bit. So I might have more options than I thought. Anyway, we'll see how we go. So first thing I think is to redo some of this initial belt work in the middle here. So I can if I can start using the beams, list the encased industrial beams from these containers down to the central point, and that would probably be a good starting point. So I'll come back after I've done a bit of that, and we'll see what sort of a mess I've managed to create for myself. Okay, so still going along with this preparation for this whole redesign area. What I've done is done a couple of minor things. I've actually moved these drone ports forward essentially one. I'm not too sure. They were basically hard up against the wall there, and it wasn't what I normally have. So I brought them all forward one. That means they actually don't clip into the back wall now, which they did before. Just a minor OCD thing of mine. So I've also put in big signs in front of each one of them, so I know which one each one is bringing in. I've also renamed them. Nuclear generators gate 1 through to gate 4. This setup hasn't changed in here. What has happened though is I have stopped the production of iron plates locally now. So now we've got the plate coming into this drone port here, gate 2, comes into here, then that joins up to this one, and joined to that one, and then that eventually goes down the center corridor. And that is essentially meaning that this will eventually start to that'll fill up, because this is only bringing in 60 a minute incoming from that other drone port. This whole setup needs 48 a minute, so in essence this will eventually fill up. The whole hanger left out of the smart splitter, overflow will go out to the left into that awesome sink. So basically iron plate is essentially set up, ready to go. I don't need to do anything more with that for the time being. I've also made a notice I've made an incredibly tall wall there. That's a 10 piece wall, whatever. That's as high as it'll probably go, because that's just enough to cover this. So the reason I've done that is essentially what will be the case is that this building, when I ultimately build the rest of it, I'm thinking will probably be more of a sort of a dome shaped, and this will be the point in which everything comes into the middle and meets. What that means is that down the middle of this corridor we can go as high as, if we need to, 10 walls up to then get to clear everything that we need to, in order to make things not clip into each other and stuff like that. That's just part of just getting a bit of a guide into there, that I can go quite high if I need to. So what we need to do now is I'm starting to basically stop production locally now. So I've already done a bit of this already. So the encased industrial encased industrial beams are currently being made at the far end. You can just see them if we get up high enough and I go into the photo mode. They're just being made just where, basically with that. Can't really see it here very well because of how far away it is. Let's go quickly run that. So they're being made basically here with these set up here. So they're being made here. So this is bringing concrete in for the other end. I've actually briefly stopped the steel beams. Let's get them back up and going again. Because these are all now going to be made at the desert factory area, and then they'll come through to here. So what I've just done is I've just made it so that that gets populated. So now we've got 100% full for that, and that's now going to keep flowing through to that. So the idea behind doing all this is to eventually, so if we come flying through here, so this setup here is all making steel ingots. That gets combined with into a constructor to make the steel beams. Steel beams come along here, going through all this setup, and go down to the encased industrial beam setup, which is then combined with some concrete from over here, specifically this one. And you can see this is starting to run out of concrete because I've stopped. Oh, that should have stopped. I stopped the wrong one. I think I have. Okay, what I was trying to stop was the production of concrete by this set of 8 just in here, because that feeds into here, along here, into here, and eventually feeds into those two containers there, which is then fed down to the other end where the encased industrial beams are. But it looks like I've actually stopped the wrong feed coming in here, so I need to go and fix that. I thought I got that right. I have done that. Oh, it does another left hook, does it? Damn it. Right. I just need to quickly run down here. So this one I actually stopped over here, I thought it was actually... So I just need to turn him back on. Whoop. I need to figure out ultimately... Okay. Does that then take another hook turn? I think I know what this one does. I think it's maybe that I need to... Because there's more... No, that's not limestone there. So we've got 4 limestones coming in here. And I thought that the one on the third one on was where it went to here. Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. What's that doing? It's taking a left. So that one goes this way. So that's the one I want to stop. Is that one there? So that's that one. Make sure I've got that right, and then it hooks that way, and then hooks that way, and goes up there. Right. So, yeah. So that goes under there. If I just get rid of that for a second, does that stop flowing into that one? Does. Right. Got the right one. I want to stop this at the source, so that's what I'm doing this for. Let's get rid of all this. Get where this one comes from. I thought it was where I had it, but wait a second. If I turned off this one, I turned off before. It was that one that I turned off before. Ah, but that takes a right kink there. So I actually need to follow the middle one of these three. Right. So where does that come from? Which makes it the left-hand one as we're looking down it. Yeah, have I still got two here? Yes. I think that's the one that comes from up through here. Yes, it is. Right, I found the source. Right. So we'll just jump down here. And we'll turn off both of these miners. Off. And off. Right. So what the goal of doing all this is to stop the materials going to the current encased industrial beam assemblers, so that they stop producing encased industrial beams, which then I can then feed in the refeed in the change the pathing and bring in the encased industrial beams which are stored in here. So I've got two in there. So then that'll basically take a left turn, come out of here, come up here, and then start going on there and feed into those same set of machine manufacturers once everything else is kind of exhausted its throughput. So now that I've done that, we should start to hopefully see. So it's still got some concrete limestone coming in. So eventually that limestone right there will stop flowing, stop flowing, and that will mean these will stop producing limestone or concrete. And then we'll also, once we do that, we've then got to do a similar thing with this iron ore and coal, which is feeding into these sort of foundries. So that's going to be the next thing. I know where they come from. One is actually coming from basically there, fed across. And the other one starts, I think, way in the other side of my factory, main factory, if I recall. Okay, there's our left, there's that. And we come up here, and it's stopped through there, and there's our stuff. So there we go. So now we've stopped that being fed by concrete. So the next thing we need to do is go and figure out, I'm pretty sure the coal, which as you can see is just on the there, I'm pretty sure that starts on the other side of my factory and it goes right through the middle of the factory. It's one of the very first things I did, because when I first moved my power, the factory started getting quite big, I moved my power to where I've got the generators now, and they actually were coal generators to begin with. Just come up to here, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, so we've got coal coming up there. That comes from way over here. Yeah, I had coal generators there, and that's the closest coal I had was from where I'm about to go to. And it's way over here. It's a pure node, actually. So it is down there. So as you can see, this goes all the way along here, along here, along here, and goes all the way straight through the middle of the factory, underneath the factory. So this can now be turned off. And then when we turn this off, we will then have to sort of time it with, I'm not going to go off running back, I'm just going to run over here, because over here I've got a teleporter. So what we need to do now is, so coming from the over here is where the iron ore comes from, which is significantly not enough iron ore, I wouldn't have thought. Okay, that's got me thinking. What have I done there? Let's double checked. I didn't need. I'm pretty sure that's the only two usage of that coal, but maybe there's more usage of it. Let's go check what each of these needs. 96, and there's how many of them we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 960. So I also have got coal coming from somewhere else. I've got coal. Also, I've got coal and iron ore coming from somewhere else as well. So there's 780 there. There's no, because I've turned off the other end, I think that's why it's not giving me any reported numbers there. That's right, I've got another set of coal and iron ore. If I can just get the right spot coming in here. So that's the one I've just turned, that's the one I'm going to turn off at some point. And there's another coal there. Where's that coming from? Where's a part of the iron ore coming from? Because that's not enough. That's only half of what I need. Oh, it's so long ago when I built all this stuff that I simply cannot remember where stuff comes from. So there's that coal stopped. Oh damn, I'm under a, there we go. So the coal has stopped completely, from at least from there. So let's go stop this one, which I think I did, didn't I? And that's still just exhausting what's left of its output. Turn that off. Alright. So that's 480 of that. So I think I remember where the iron ore comes from. The other iron ore comes from. Okay, yeah, I think I remember where it's coming from now. Doing this thing is going to really simplify this whole setup, that's for sure. So there's some more iron ore there, which I think comes from over here. So it's going up. I'm pretty sure it starts somewhere over here. That I'm pretty sure is it, yeah. There's 780, okay. So we'll stop that, and I think now the other bit of coal I think is actually coming from here. So this coal, oh, there's two lots of it. Which one do I need to stop? If any of it. I think some of it actually goes into the main factory, so I can't turn off that one clearly. Autosave in a bad timing. Alright, so I've got some coal underneath to my left here a bit. Let's see if that either goes. So it's going that way, and does it go? It goes that way, so I can't turn off that one because that's going into the main factory for some reason. But I think there's more coal. There it is. There it is. So right, let's follow this one. Okay, so it's the outside one. Right. So this all goes through this. Oh crap! Where does it go now? Oh goodness, the top one. Okay. So way down here, there's a couple of coal nodes just down this hill, and to the right here. So we're going to turn off this first one. Turn that off. This is a really long-winded way of basically stopping those foundries from making steel ingots and then stopping that from being joined in with into the constructors to make the steel beams to then go and join with the concrete that has all been made all there to make the encased industrial beams. So it is to stop the production there, basically make them run out. So then they can be essentially removed. Then I can replace it with the other source. But yeah, that's a long-winded way of doing all that. So yeah, I'll be back. Okay, I have created a bit of a mess, but I think it's going to work when it's all kind of cleaned up. So, right, let's have a look first thing. We've now got 6 drain ports coming here: sulphur, iron plates, steel beams, encased industrial beams, electromagnetic control rods, and heat sinks at the very end there. Each going to a container each. And you can see by this lovely arrangements of belts coming sort of right to left in front of us, they all go into this central corridor now. Again, not the best, and I may end up tweaking that a bit further down the line. But now everything is coming from this direction. So you can see we've got iron. The only thing that's not set up properly here yet is the silica, which is the only thing which has actually been made by over there. But everything else is coming from this direction now. So we've got heat sinks, encased industrial beams, 2 lots of rods. There's steel beams underneath there, coming all the way along here. Concrete as well, still coming along from here. But ultimately that's going to be redone. But it's all kind of working. It's still, as I said, not perfect, and I may end up tweaking it again. We're going to remove a bunch of stuff there. So I actually ended up redoing this section. I wasn't planning to do this, but this is just the way it sort of turned out. So this belt setup here was a lot different to what I've now got. Not totally sure why I did it that way. I think it was probably just a bit more load balancing. But what I've now got is we've got encased industrial beams, electrical control rods coming in from over to our right here, coming to a central splitter, and then they're splitting the 3 ways, one straight down the middle, and then one to this way, one to that way. Then I had before, I had it coming to another splitter in front of it here, and then that was splitting down each side of the set of 3. Now just gone straight down the middle with a sort of manifold setup, and it's splitting down either way, and it's actually doing really well. So all these are pretty much at 100% full, so what they need to be before the next one comes in. So it's all looking really good. And yeah, likewise again with did that with the rods. I've also moved the encased uranium cells, sorry. They were coming in from this direction, sort of thing. I've now moved that under the ground, into logistics level underneath here, and bring it up in the same spot. So all 3 are coming in here, and then splitting. So it does actually split evenly between them all. I actually just sort of determined halfway through when I was doing all this that I could actually bring it all underneath, and I may end up doing that. I may end up getting rid of all these up above ground belts, just bring it in from in over here, bring it down straight into the logistics level, and basically put a splitter in front of this one. Bring these central splitter forward to roughly middle of this foundation, and then splitting it from that way. Then it can all be they can all be underneath then, which will get rid of all this sort of mess above the drain. So all that's going to go. The only thing I've got to retain at the moment for the time being is the single port here. It's bringing uranium, and I've got these storages of heat sinks, which I haven't got to figure out what I'm going to do with them yet. So that's basically going to do it for episode 14. At the beginning of the episode 15, I'll have cleaned all that stuff up, maybe even rerun that belt work underneath, not too sure. Then I'm going to redo this setup. So you can see all the foundries are gone, all that's gone, steel beams are gone. So that's still got beams in it, but it's now been fed from this setup in here. That is empty of concrete. So that's all good. Yeah, so the next thing will be is I'll tidy this a bit more between that next episode 15, and then it's going to be redoing this setup. So there's going to be 3 rows of 8 constructors making concrete from limestone, and then a set of 5 constructors making the silica that we're seeing here. You can see just there I've got a steel wall just in the middle of that one there. That's what I'm going to try and aim underneath to have the silica go out to that one. Go straight into there, and then hang a right and go down to the row of machines it needs to feed into. Then these sets of 8 constructors will be sort of the next 3 rows of constructors. But we'll do that in episode 15. That'll probably be in a couple of weeks' time. Real life's getting in the way at the moment, so I'm doing these on a more frequent basis. But yeah, hopefully be in the next. Get the one out in the next 2 or 3 weeks for the next episode 15 out in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And I do need to clean this up. This is still a mess, but it's enough to get things going for the time being. So that'll do for episode 14. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks for episode 15. Thank you.